What is your understanding of API-led connectivity? Is it limited only to the three layers and reusability? If yes, then do consider watching this video. Due to the increased number of nodes hosting the implementations, API-led connectivity causes the creation of an application network. It also adds network calls, thereby incurring latency. However, the pros outsmart the cons. Benefits like reusability, discoverability, treating developer as a first-class citizens all leads to digital enablement, and this in turn opens up your organization to co-create values with partners, hence giving rise to the API economy. If these jargons have let you confused, worry not. I'll be explaining each of them in this video. As usual, I place the video timestamp in the description below. Use them to navigate across different sections of this video. Now let's take a use case. I am a startup looking to create a card payment app so that my customers can pay their credit card bills through my app. So for this business to work, I would technically require to communicate with multiple banks and access resources such as card details, account details, and payment gateway. Apart from this main requirements, I would also need to have additional functionality to thrive my business upon, because making payments for my customers' credit card won't earn me a good revenue. So instead, I offer extra services like reward points. These reward points can be used partially to purchase partner products. So this way, I can earn my commission and the business can thrive upon. Now that we understood the business idea, let's move to the technical part. To attract customers to my platform, I'll need to reward them for making credit card payment, and also the experience should be seamless. In order to facilitate the payment, I need to communicate with the bank. So let's first understand a hypothetical bank system with which our application would communicate. So here is a hypothetical bank which is a legacy bank. It has different system of records, like the current account data is stored in Salesforce, the savings account data is stored in SAP, credit card in Oracle, debit card in MariaDB, and credibility score in Salesforce. So these are the system of records with which my app would communicate to get the data. Now since it is a credit card payment app, it will communicate with the credit card database, and also the savings account or current account to make payment, and debit card also to make the payment. So let's see what challenges do we face while accessing the system. So these are a few challenges that we might face while accessing the system. For example, we need to take care of protocol. Salesforce might expose API, but how about an Oracle DB? We need to use JDBC. How about if the system uses queue? We need to use the queue-based protocol. Then comes security. In some cases, we might have a client ID enforcement policy, or maybe they might be using user ID and password credentials, or maybe they might be using SAML token or JOT token. So we need to consider that as well. And then the source system or the system of records might send some objects, so we need to transform those objects into JSON structure or XML structure. There could be situation when the current account might have first name as F name, whereas savings account might have as first name. So again, there is different in the name of field. So we need to establish a common contract, and that common contract needs transformation. So that would be done by the transformation. So these are three major challenges that we need to look at in order to communicate with the bank app. So the problem over here is that the card payment app needs to take care of all of these problems because they are not implemented in this legacy bank. So the card payment app will implement the logic for protocol, security, and transformation. Now add to that the communication with other system. This is for current account, this is for savings account, then for credit card, then for debit card, and if we use the credibility score, we need to do the same for that. So all this stuff which is redundant has to be done at the card payment app level. Add to this, now we won't restrict our app to a single bank's credit card, right? Since we want to attract more and more customers, we'll add multiple banks. So if all the banks have such sort of structure, we'll have to do the same stuff for bank 2 and bank 3. What else do we have over here is that the bank would again charge us for doing this stuff, right? And add to it the complexity of implementing this logic. So we need to have developers do this stuff. So developer cost gets added, then maintenance cost gets added. So if we completely focus on the IT stuff and this becomes quite expensive, when would we be able to generate revenue? Remember, this is just one part of the business that we are trying to do. We won't earn much revenue by just allowing our users to make payment for their credit cards. The main business that we are focusing is to bring the customers to our platform and then reward them. And using those reward points, the customer should be enticed to buy other products that are our partner products, and we earn a commission on that. So that would be the main business where what we would be doing. So if this is the structure, it would become very difficult for the card payment app business model itself to survive. So how do we solve this problem and help the card payment app to make it business run? Since there are so many challenges involved in this idea, making this idea into a reality seems to be a distant dream. But what if the bank says that to our card payment app that, boss, I'm also looking to expand my business, because only having customers doing banking transaction is not enough. We want to grow, so we are looking to expand our business, and you seem to be the right candidate with whom we can expand our business. So the bank says that, okay, all these concerns, I will address it for you. You need not take care of all this problem. I'll take care of it for you, because I want to expand my business. And we'll see in the upcoming slides that how taking care of all this stuff would help the bank in expanding its revenue. So the bank says, okay, I'll handle protocol, security and transformation for the card payment app. Okay, so now the life of card payment app has been made easy, because it will be exposed in the form of a RESTful web service. Okay, so basically we'll expose an API on top of the system of records, which will have a common contract. So the structure would look something like this. We have APIs on top of this system records following a particular contract. So what benefit do we get? First of all, we have addressed all the three concerns. And then the card payment app also need not worry about the joins that we have to do or the processing that we have to do. For example, in credit card there could be multiple tables and there could be joins required to be applied, right? So all those things are abstracted for the card payment app. The card payment app need not know what's going on. It just needs to know how to call the APIs. That's it. So the life of card payment app is much more easy now, and we can proceed with the idea of implementing this app and making and generating revenue. So far things look good. By now you would have realized that this API, which is acting as a face of the system of record, is nothing but a system API, and all the APIs that belong to this group belong to the system layer. So all of this API which act as face of system of records belong to the system layer, and they are called as system API. So now what benefit is the bank getting by doing this task? Okay, so bank has made has abstracted all the details, right? It made the life of our card payment app easy, which does not belong to the bank. It belongs to the third party. So how is bank benefiting from it? Obviously, bank will charge the card payment app to use its services, but is there any additional benefit to this? Yes, it is. Also, let's first note one point, that the ownership of this application, this APIs, lie with the application owner. So whoever owns the current account app is the owner of this API. Now coming back to the point, that how is it benefiting the bank? So if the card payment app was supposed to access some other bank, suppose this is bank 1, and he wants to access bank 2 also, right? He want to expand to multiple banks so that all of them, different customers, can be onboarded to the app. So if they want to move to bank, they want to add bank 2 as well, and bank 2 doesn't offer this feature, will the card payment app move to bank 2? They won't, obviously, right? Instead, they will choose bank with whom banking would be easy, like bank 1. Think about different other applications. There are multiple startup ideas going on, and suppose there is an insurance deal app which helps you to compare multiple insurance and then purchase some insurance from any of the banks. So even bank provides insurance, okay, or otherwise they also provide transaction ability to pay insurance using a credit card or a debit card. So if the connectivity is simplified from the bank, the other app can also integrate with your bank, right? So the bank is basically expanding its business, right? It was working with the card payment app, now it's working with the insurance deal app, because it has a simplified connectivity and it's abstracting all the difficulties for the third party services to come on board. So this looks good. Now, can we improve this process a bit? Is there any scope of improvement? Let's see that in the next slide. Now, to understand another set of improvements, let's understand a few new features that we would like to have. For example, a customer wants to have 360-degree view of all his liabilities and assets in the card payment app. Okay, so what could be the assets? The balance in current account, savings account. What could be the liabilities? That could be the credit card, outstanding credits in the credit card. So they want a 360-degree view of all this. So basically the card payment app would have to call the current account, savings account API and credit card API, and then aggregate all the data, right? So which basically means that the card payment app needs to be aware of all the three apps, all the three APIs, right? So that is one problem. Another thing, if the customer wants to aggregate all the account details, so the same thing, right? So savings account and current account will have to aggregate. So again, the same challenges. He needs to know what APIs to use. So basically it will involve a coding effort at this. So we need to know which APIs can do what, and then we can aggregate. So the aggregation logic is present over here only. And suppose we also want to implement a feature that is forex rates. For example, based on the geolocation wherever the customer is present, his assets and liabilities can be shown in that particular currency which is local to that particular region. So for that, maybe we'll add the bank adds another forex API, and so in that case again we need to make changes to the card payment app to help it communicate with the forex API. So how if we provide a solution to all this problem and we abstract all the problems for the card payment app? So it will not only just help the card payment app, but it will also help the bank, because even in bank when you log in, you should be able to get the 360-degree view, right? So all these features are also specific to a bank for its own customers. So instead of having for its own banking application also, the bank has to manually aggregate all this data. So we can see redundancy over here, because even the banking application has to have this, and the card payment app also needs to have this. So what if we make a common logic, so the banking application can also use, and the card payment, or if any third party comes, even that can use. So we need to again create some reusable mechanism. So let's see how can we achieve this. So this is the normal flow. We have the same bank, we have a system layer present right now. Now we can have an API on top of this account, current account and the savings account. So we have an API which can aggregate the accounts data, current account and savings account. Then we have another API that can aggregate cards data, which is credit card and debit card, and then the data can be retrieved by the card payment app. So what is the benefit that we have got over here? The benefit is that we were able to aggregate the data. So card payment app didn't need to aggregate the data, it was done by this particular API. Second thing, the APIs are abstracted. The card payment does not need to know about the current account API or the savings account API. It just needs to know about this particular API, which can aggregate the data from the savings account. Same applies for this particular API. If it needs to get the details of cards, again this can aggregate the cards detail. So that is the benefit we are getting. We are getting another layer of abstraction, and the redundant logic has been removed. So now this can be used by the bank's own applications, right? Bank's internal application for its own customer and for the partners. So if tomorrow some other person comes, they can also use the process for processing the records. They can use this API. Now again, if some another system comes into picture in the system layer, okay, if new instance of maybe database got added, we have some another type of card or some another instance of database which has another credit card details. So what benefit we'll get is, suppose I'll add another system over here. So it belongs, remember, it belongs to system of record. So if I want to add new system over here, all I need to do is make changes to this API alone, only this API. This remains unaffected, right? And this API can itself make the changes and provide the data back to the card payment app. So that is the benefit we are getting over here in case of adding another layer of application. So the APIs that abstract the system layer APIs are called as process API, and all the APIs belonging to this particular category belong to the process layer. So as we can see, we have a process API for accounts, which can aggregate and provide account details, like simply by calling the accounts resource. Same is for the cards, and same is for assets and liabilities. So we see that the process APIs are owned by line of business IT, whereas the system APIs are owned by the app owners. So the benefit that this particular abstraction of the system layer that we are getting is that the card payment app or any other consumer for that matter is insulated from API version changes at the system layer or API deprecation at the system layer. So that's one benefit. Another benefit we can think of it is that, like in the last slide we saw that suppose we are adding a new instance of Oracle DB for credit card. It has some other data, but that is also of credit card, right? So the card payment app need not know about the other instance. That changes can be done at the process API itself. So again, that is helping the organization, that is the bank, to retire or bring in new application without any loss of time, right? It's providing agility. In short, it's making the process agile, and the systems can be brought in or retired in a short span of time. So that is the main benefit of the process API. Now, is there any other scope of improvement over here? Let's check that out in the next slide. So now our bank has implemented the system layer and the process layer, and this type of implementation has provided abstraction, agility, change insulation, and segregation of ownership so far to the bank. Okay, and even the card payment app is happy because it doesn't need to do a lot of development. It just needs to call the APIs, and it just need to focus on its own process, right? How it has to give rewards to the consumer, how it has to onboard the consumer, and how it has to sell the partner's product on its app. Okay, and the payment and all that stuff can be easily done with the help of all these APIs. So things look good until here, and the card payment app is doing very well with the bank, and it's earning a good amount of revenue now. But now the bank says that okay, we are happy with what we have earned, but then the bank says that we want to expand to as many as possible customers, right? So there are few customers, prospective customers. They are not yet a customer of this bank, but they are prospective customers. They say that okay, so one customer says that I want data only in JSON format. The other one says I want in XML format. Some of the customers say that okay, I do not use REST, I want to use GraphQL to communicate. Some other says that okay, sorry, I'll use only async APIs to communicate. So now how do I cater to these needs? That's not a good idea to add all these changes to process API, because these are for aggregation, and they should just do that, aggregate and abstract the system API. So what we can do is we can have another application, right, where we can handle all such things. We can give a JSON, we can use a content negotiation pattern, we can use JSON, send XML, we can use GraphQL, or as well as implement async API. So these are the options that can be done at using this application, right? So basically what we are doing over here is that we are driving innovation, right? We are giving our customers to have multiple options available. So these are using these options, they can easily integrate with the bank. So it's basically driving innovation, and all those apps that do this stuff are called as the experience API application, and that particular layer belongs to the experience layer, and it's basically doing nothing but driving innovation. So the innovation team will own this. So if we see, experience APIs are owned by the innovation team, process by LOBIT, and system by app owners. So effectively, by implementing the whole ecosystem over here, our legacy bank has turned into a digital bank. If you observe, previously it was a legacy bank, and now it has become a digital bank. Now if you compare this version with the previous version, see how reusable it is, see how agile it is, how the amount of insulation it provides, and the ease at which other consumers or the bank's other application itself can integrate with the bank. Can you see the improvements or the benefits that we get? The benefits are countless. Although the application count has increased, we have a good amount of application network created over here, which means that we need some nodes, we need some network latency, that would be there, but see the benefits. The benefits are far better than the drawbacks. So this ecosystem is called as the digital ecosystem, and In other words, people also call it as digital enablement. So this is what digital enablement means. Now, due to API-led connectivity, our bank has moved from legacy to digital. Our digitally enabled bank has the following abilities. Abstraction. Like we saw in the previous slides, we have now 3 layers of abstraction. The first layer is the experience layer, then the process layer, and the system layer. So basically, system layer is abstracting the protocol, the security and transformation, and all the complex overhead that has to be done to get the data. Then the process layer is aggregating the data, and if required, there is any business process that is also done over there, and it hides the system layer. Now again, at the top we have the experience layer, which is driving innovation. So it's helping to get the data in different formats, and if there are multiple protocols, like if someone wants in REST, if someone wants a GraphQL API, or someone wants async API, so that also is done by the experience API. So that is what abstraction is. Then we have implemented reusability. Obviously we have reusability at all 3 levels. Anyone can access any APIs as and when required. If someone wants to access the source system alone, they can use system API. If someone wants to get aggregated data, or maybe with some business process in place, they can use the process API. And if it's the end consumer, they can very well use the experience API. So we have promoted reusability by eliminating redundancy. Then we have agility in the sense that we can retire or add new application without any long duration of pause. That can be done quickly because the end consumer remains unaffected. All the changes are being absorbed by the process layer itself. Change insulation, the same thing. If there is any version change in the system API, that is being absorbed by the process API, so the end consumer still remains insulated. There's no change to be done at the consumer level whatsoever. Then there is segregation of ownership, like we saw, right? The system layer is owned by the application owner. Whoever owns the system of records, that team owns the that particular system API, and the process API is being owned by the line of business IT, and the experience API is driving innovation, so that is being owned by the innovations team. Now innovation in the sense that we can bring many consumers on board by providing them different interfaces, like we saw in the experience API. Unlocked assets to many partners to get more business. So it is quite evident, right? We have the Salesforce system, we have SAP system, we have database. So the data is the oil over here, and due to API-led connectivity, we were able to expose this data into multiple formats to multiple consumers using REST, GraphQL, or maybe async API. So this is what unlocking the assets mean. So we are unlocking the data to external partners so that they can use our data and generate revenue on our behalf. So it's mutually helping both of us, the bank as well as the partner, to grow. The bank is not just limited to its banking application. Now it's expanding, it's venturing into different sector of business using the powerful digital enablement. Now let's understand the API economy. So because of the API led architecture, we were able to unlock the underlying assets into ways we could not imagine, right? Now we are able to expose this data in the form of REST API. We can also use GraphQL to access this data. We can also get it in JSON or XML format. We can have different protocol. We can also use gRPC, and we can also use async API. It's just a matter of making changes or adding new experience API, and if at all required, make any changes to process API. So we are able to unlock data in multiple ways. So what benefit does it give? Now let's assume an example, like we have a cab service, okay, and the cab service is giving the rider who is taking the ride an option of insurance that give me this amount, add this amount to your ride and we'll insure your ride. Okay, so again, all these insurance services are mostly provided by the banks. All right, and same happens for the retail market. Retail market can provide insurance, okay, or maybe they might run an offer wherein they say that buy the credit card of this bank and you will get some offer. So again, there could be customers buying some, making some shopping and maybe getting a credit card free of cost for 1 year maybe, right? So to make this possible for a retail market to link to sell a credit card for a bank, or a cab service to sell insurance for a bank, we need some integration, right? And had there been no API led connectivity over here, it would have been a tedious task for the retail market or the cab service to integrate with it, right? And they would have never thought, right? Like we saw in the previous slides for the card payment app, it was quite difficult. But since the bank took effort to make the application loosely coupled and add layers of API and reuse them and unlock the data, it was able, the card payment app was able to generate value, co-create value on top of this, right? Now due to this, again, the retail market can right away use this experience API, and whenever any customer does a shopping of any provided limit, he's able to easily, the retail market is able to easily communicate with the bank and get a credit card for the customer. Quite simple and easy integration. Same occurs for the cab service, right? They can use the experience API and communicate with the insurance system of records and get an insurance for their customer. So if you see, this particular bank is now not only restricted to its banking customer with savings account, debit accounts, current accounts, credit card or debit card, right? Now they are getting customers from the retail chains, they are getting customers from card payment applications, they are getting customers from cab service. So you see how much of expansion of business is happening over here, just because they have made everything digital. They are now digitally enabled. So this in turn gives so the revenue that has been generated is possible, and that comes under the API economy. Such revenue that has been generated due to the unlocking of data to the external world, that comes under the API economy. So that is what it means. So that's it for this video. I hope you would have understood a few new things about API led connectivity and how it helps in making digital enablement, and how digital enablement in turn helps API economy. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.